A conductor is a region of space that contains charges that are free to move. A perfect conductor would contain an unlimited supply of free charges. In real life, there are no perfect conductors, but metals come pretty close for most purposes. Let us now discuss the electrostatic properties of ideal conductors. The first property is that inside a conductor, the electric field will be zero. Inside a conductor, there will be charges which are free to move. These charges will be in a state of no motion unless they have sufficient thermal kinetic energy. Let us now consider the case when we apply an external electric field in a direction as shown here. Initially, the field will drive the free positive charges to the right and negative ones to the left. In effect, it is the negative charges or the electrons that does the moving. When they depart from a stationary nuclei, the right side is left with net positive charge. When the positive and negative charges come to the edge of the material, they will pile up. That is, plus charges on the right side and the minus charges on the left side. These induced charges produce a field of their own, that is shown here as E1, which is in the opposite direction to E0. That is, field due to the induced charges cancel the original field. Charges will continue to follow until this cancellation is complete and the resultant field inside the conductor becomes zero. The whole process happens in a very short time. The second property is that charge density inside a conductor is zero. This follows from Gauss's law, according to which we have del dot E equal to rho over epsilon 0. And if E equal to 0, so also rho. There are charges inside, but the number of positive charges equals that of the negative charges, so the net charge density inside the conductor is 0. The third property is that any net charges reside on the surface of the conductor. In fact, that is the only place where these charges can sit. The fourth property is that a conductor is equipotential. If A and B are 2 points on the surface or within the surface, then the potential difference can be written as VB minus VA equal to negative of integral A to B E dot dl. And since there are no fields inside the conductor, this integral will be equal to 0. So this gives us VB equal to VA. The fifth point is that just outside the conductor, the electric field is perpendicular to the surface. So that is shown pictorially here. Inside the conductor, the electric field is 0. And outside, it is perpendicular to the surface of the conductor. Why can't there be tangential components? We have seen that the surface of a conductor is equipotential. That is VA equal to VB. And these are points A and points B. If there exists a tangential component of the electric field on the surface of the conductor, charges on the surface will move until this component becomes 0 and the surface is equipotential again. But perpendicular to the surface, charges cannot flow since they are confined to the conducting object. Hence, just outside the conductor, electric field is perpendicular to the surface. We'll now explore about the induced charges. What you see here is a conductor which is in a field-free space. If we hold a charge plus Q near an uncharged conductor, the free charge will pull all the minus charges over to the near side and repel the positive charges to the far side. This results in an attraction between the point charge and the conductor. There is another way to think of this in terms of the electric field generated by the point charge. As the electric field of the point charge Q try to penetrate the conductor, there happens a rearrangement of the charges inside the conductor to result in a zero field inside. Since the negative charge is close to Q, there is a net force of attraction. And these charges on the surface of the conductor are the induced charges. The concept of electrical cavity. When we talk about the field, charge or potential inside a conductor, we mean the bulk of the conductor. Now, let us consider that we have a hollow cavity inside the conductor. If we put a charge inside, the field inside the cavity will not be zero. But in a remarkable way, the cavity and its contents will be isolated from the outside world by the surrounding conductor. No external fields can penetrate the conductor because they are cancelled by the induced charge on the inner surface. Similarly, for all points exterior to the conductor, the field due to the charges within this cavity is cancelled by the induced charges on the inner surface. However, the outside world can sense the presence of the charge inside the cavity by the compensating charges left over on the outer surface of the conductor. We'll now try to find out how. Charges inside the cavity induces equal and opposite charges on the inner walls of the conductor. An observer outside the conductor can actually find out what is the charge inside the cavity of this metallic conductor just by inspecting the charges on the walls of the conductor. Let us now try to find out how to do this, what is the nature of the charges inside, that is positive or negative, and how much charges are present inside the cavity. For that, let us surround the cavity with an imaginary Gaussian surface as shown. This surface is inside the conductor. According to Gauss's law, closed integral E dot dA is equal to Q enclosed over epsilon 0. Because no field inside the cavity can penetrate the conductor, this implies that the closed integral E dot dA is equal to 0. And this is equal to Q enclosed over epsilon 0. But Q enclosed is equal to the charge that is enclosed inside the cavity plus the charges which are induced on the surface of the conductor. And this is equal to 0. So that gives us the number of induced charges as equal to the number of charges inside the cavity, but the polarity of the induced charges will be opposite to that of the charges that are inside the cavity. Thus, we have calculated the number and nature of the induced charges inside the conductor. these induced negative charges results in an accumulation of positive charges on the surface of the conductor. Thus, we can understand that the charge inside the cavity is positive. An important application of such kind of a cavity is a Faraday cage. If a cavity surrounded by a conducting material is empty of charge, then the field within the cavity is zero. This is the working principle of a Faraday cage. Having said that, let us blindly assume that there is an electric field inside the cavity. Any field line, if present, due to the charges on the inner wall of the conductor, must be like as shown, starting from a positive charge to a negative charge. Now let us do some math. Let us make the field form a closed loop starting from the negative charge and ending on the positive charge, this time through the conductor. Remember that inside the conductor, the electric field is zero. Now, when we calculate the closed integral E dot dl, this will be a positive quantity, violating the standard conversion. Inside the metal, the electric field is zero, but inside the cavity, we have assumed the existence of an electric field, which are caused by the charges on the inner surface of the conductor. So that when we calculate the closed integral E dot dl, contribution from the electric field inside the conductor is zero, but there is contribution from the electric field existing inside the cavity. So that means that closed integral E dot dl is not equal to zero. It follows that our assumption of the existence of the field inside the cavity is wrong and there are no charges on the surface of the cavity. Thus, no external electric field can penetrate the conductor to disturb what is inside the cavity. That is the reason why it is relatively safe to sit inside a metal car during a thunderstorm. We may get cooked if the lightning strikes, but we will never be electrocuted. A Faraday cage is a device that works on this principle. It is a metallic enclosure used to shield out stray electric fields and protect sensitive apparatus. In practice, the enclosure does not have to be a solid conductor. A chicken wire will often suffice.